everyone, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Kaylee, and today we are making my favorite DIY of the season. That is my potion bottles for my coffee bar. These will be bottles that hold my coffee syrups, and I do these every year. Last year they were a big hit, so we're bringing them back this year to match my aesthetic. So the things that you're going to need for this project are glass bottles that are food safe. I got all of my bottles from either Home Goods or Marshalls, and they ranged in price from $3.99 to $6.99. So you can spend as much or as little as you want, and you can get as many bottles as you want. Then you're also going to need some acrylic paint or chalk paint. I'm actually using both, but they can be in any color that you like. I'm using neutrals because that goes with my aesthetic. And then we're also going to need some of the matte Mod Podge. Then you need a paper cup, paper plate, anything that you would want to use to mix your Mod Podge and paint. This is my glass that I use for all my paint mixtures, so that's what I'm using. And then you're also going to need a foam brush or some type of paintbrush. I recommend foam because you won't get little hairs in your paint. And then you're going to need potion labels, whether you make these or buy them. I'll have them linked in the description if you want to use the ones I'm using. They're very inexpensive. They're like $4 and you get 50 different labels to choose from. So let's get started. The first thing you're going to want to do is pour in some Mod Podge to whatever vessel you're using, and then a few drops of whatever color paint. And then you're just going to mix it up. Using the Mod Podge helps to make the paint more opaque when you paint it on, which makes it easier in the end when we start to distress it. You can use as much Mod Podge and paint as you want. I just like to start with a good bit of Mod Podge and I add the paint in as I go. Now that I have enough, I'm going to start mixing it up until I get this really neutral, pretty nude color. Once I have the paint at the color I like, then I'm going to start painting it onto my bottle. Now I am leaving these spouts on my bottle because these are not the spouts that I am going to use in the end. But if you are going to use the spouts that come with the bottle, make sure you take them out. That way you don't get paint and Mod Podge on them. Now you're just going to start painting your bottles in layers. You can do as many layers as you like. I like to do 1 or 2, but we're going to start with 1. We're going to let that dry, and then we're going to go to our next layer. This DIY is something that does not have to be perfect. You don't have to worry about it being perfectly lined up or making sure every space is covered. In fact, the more imperfect it looks, I think the better it looks for this particular project. So as you can see, I am just going over the bottle with 1 layer, going into my Mod Podge, just making sure that I'm covering the majority of the bottle, but I'm not being too specific or worrying too much about how it lays. So now that I've painted our first bottle, I'm going to move it to the side to dry, and I'm going to go on to our next bottle. And what I like to do is keep the bottles looking like they're in the same color family, but have them each be a little bit darker and a different tone than the one before. So I'm using the same paint I used on my first bottle, but now I'm adding some black chalk paint to it. And what that's going to do is make my paint a little darker, a little more dry, but I'm still going to keep those base tones that I used in my first bottle. You don't have to do this. You can do completely different colors each time. This is just an effect that I did last year and I really loved how they came out. So right now I'm just mixing that chalk paint into my nude color, and then we're going to start painting this bottle. Now that I'm finished with that bottle, I'm using my paper because I don't want to continue to use that cup. This is going to be my white base bottle. So I just put some Mod Podge on my paper with the white chalk paint. But again, you'll mix this in a cup if you're using a cup. And we're going to use the same process. I'm just layering on this white chalk paint and Mod Podge mixture. And we are going to let that dry. And then we're going to move on to our next bottle. Same thing, I'm going to put the Mod Podge on the paper. And this time I'm just going to use the black chalk paint. So I'm going to mix that in, and then we're going to paint our larger bottle. I just love the look of this all black bottle. I just know it's going to be my favorite in the end. It is so pretty. So now that all of our layers have started to dry, I'm going to take a rough paper towel and I just want to drag it across my bottle. You don't have to do this, but I'm doing this because it takes some of the paint off and exposes the glass, which to me makes it look older. It makes it look more worn, like it's been sitting on a shelf in a witch's cottage. So as you can see, it has taken off a good amount of paint, but still leaving that really nice opaque look. I love this. Again, you don't have to do it. If you want the bottle to stay a solid color, you can absolutely do that. But I think this just adds another layer of texture and makes it look more realistic. Now I'm going into my white bottle with a little bit of the black chalk paint and Mod Podge because I want to dirty this bottle up. I want them to all, remember, stay in the same color family, but still have their own look and their own grungy feel. So I'm going to paint over this, and then we're going to use the same technique of wiping it down with the paper towel. That way we get layers of white and black. And this is what we're left with. I love it. On the next bottle that's darker, I'm going in with the white chalk paint and Mod Podge to lighten it up. And again, give it the same kind of effect. We want the same color scheme, but I want a little bit of lightness to show through. I also want some of the black and the glass to show through. And again, same thing on our final bottle. I'm going in with a little white and black for this one, just to give it a little bit of every color, because the base color of this one is that nice nude. Again, you don't have to do these steps. Like I said, if you want to paint them solid and put labels on them and not touch them, you can do that too. I just think this layering technique adds a really nice effect. And this is what the last bottle looks like. You can see I took some of the paint off, and I just think it looks so good. It looks old. It looks vintage. They look like they've been sitting a while and they've started to tarnish. This is the absolute best outcome for me. But like I said, if this is not the look you want, continue to do whatever makes you happy. Now we're going to do some dry brushing with gold paint, because this is going to make those high spots of the bottles pop. It's also going to give them a little more depth. So I'm just taking a gold acrylic paint and I'm wiping off the majority of the paint. That way there's just a little bit on, and then I'm just hitting all the high spots of my bottle. And you can see already how much of a difference that is making to this bottle. It's making it look patina. It looks so cool. I'm going to continue doing the dry brushing across every bottle. First, I'm going to start with gold, and then on the lighter bottles, you'll see that I use a little bit of the black chalk paint, just to make them a little darker, because I didn't want the white ones to seem too glam with the gold, so that's why I went in with a little bit of the darker tones. But on the black ones, I'm just using the gold because, like I said, it makes them look a little more aged and patinaed. After my bottles have dried and I've done all of my dry brushing and all of my painting, this is what they look like. So now I'm going to pick out a label to go with each one. You can choose any of these labels you like. I'm trying to choose ones, again, that stay in the same tone and color family. That way it looks like it's supposed to be there, but this package of labels comes with multiple colors and sizes, so feel free to add any color you like. I'm just going for more gold tones and blacks because the bottle is gold tone and black. I ended up deciding on this Deadly Nightshade label. I just thought it was really cute and a good size for the front of the bottle. And these are all little stickers, so I'm just peeling the back off and then just going to center it right in the center of my bottle. I was also looking at it to decide which way I wanted the bottle to face when it's on the coffee bar. And after that, I just pushed it down, and that is that. Moving on to our next bottle, same thing. We're going to go through a few of the labels. Here you can just see me trying a few out. And once I find the one I want, same thing. I'm going to peel the backing off, stick it on the part that I want to show when it's sitting on my coffee bar, and then we're going to move on to the next. This is the final part of the DIY. Again, this is optional, but the labels look too new and too bright, so I am dirtying them up and darkening them with a little bit of the dry brushing of the chalk paint. So this has some black chalk paint on it. I'm just dry brushing the ends, rubbing it in with my fingers to make it look more blended. The goal is to just try and get rid of the white and to make it look old instead of brand new out of the package. If you're using the spouts that came with your bottle, then you don't need this part. But if you're using different spouts, then this is going to be the point where you pick those out. I have quite a collection of spouts because I switch out my coffee bar often. So I have plastic ones and I have these beautiful like gunmetal. I will link them both. They're both on Amazon. I'll put those in the description in case you want to try either of these. I'm going to go with the gunmetal color just because I think they look better with my bottle. But choose any type of spout you want or use the spout that you have. It's up to you. Now we're going to fill each of our bottles with our coffee syrup. Just remember, you're going to need a way to know what syrup is in which bottle. So what I like to do is after I fill up the bottle, I just take a little piece of a sticky label and write down what it was on the back, and then I just stick it to the back of my bottle. That way I know what I'm using without having to take away from the look of the front of the coffee syrup. So this one was white chocolate, so I just put a little WC, and as you can see, no one's going to notice that. It's just for me. So I'm doing that with all of my bottles, filling them up, putting the cute little spouts in, and making sure I label the back. And once you finish filling and labeling each bottle, you're done. How do you think my DIY turned out? I hope that you guys really love this DIY. It's one of my favorite ones to do. I've done it for, this will be my 3rd year in a row. And last year it was really, really popular on my TikTok. Everyone loved it. So this year I'm just updating it for my current aesthetic. Let me know what bottle is your favorite. Let me know if you're going to do this DIY and if you have some ideas for it. I can't wait to see your recreations. Please tag me on Instagram. I will put my Instagram in the description and also right here. I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This week we will be decorating the coffee bar together, and we will also be decorating my Christmas tree together. So I can't wait to see you then. I hope you'll have a wonderful day. Bye.